on this big tray right here, this big, huge tray right here.
This is a rolling tray that we set them on, and when it's full, we roll the whole tray into this germination room.
All right, let's look at the germination room down here, because I've never seen anything like this. What is going on in here?
This room keeps a nice moist environment and also the right temperature so that they all germinate quickly and evenly, so we have nice even crop. There's probably 20,000 seeds in there right now.
Now, how long do they stay in there?
They'll be in there 2 to 3 days.
All right, then what happens to them? Because that's when things begin to get kind of exciting.
Yeah, after they sprout in here, we roll them out the other end of this room and roll them into the greenhouse.
All right, that's where we're going next, to the greenhouse, and you have to see this to believe it. Now, after being in the germination room, and I guess they're heated up in there, aren't they?
Yes, they don't like it too cold, otherwise they germinate unevenly. So we want them to all pop up at the same time.
All right, so they've all popped up at the same time, and we're talking, how many thousands of lettuce plants do we have in here?
There's several 100,000 in this area. We sow seeds every day, so we keep adding and we keep taking them away.
All right, let's walk down here so we can see what we're looking at, because what we've basically got is a situation where as you walk down this aisle here, you can watch the little heads of lettuce grow.
Yeah, as we progress, each table is another day. So as we move on, they're getting bigger and bigger.
You mean they grow this fast? I mean, how far along are we right here?
These are about probably 13 or 14 days since we put the seed in.
All right, so this is after 2 weeks. Then they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you keep a certain temperature in here? I see you got lights and tubes of some sort up here.
We have grow lights in here mainly for the wintertime when the days are short, and the temperature we like to keep is moderate. You feel it's not too hot in here right now, and then at night we let it cool down. We try to give the plants exactly what they need so they grow.
Now,
their best.
do these grow all at exactly the? I mean, these look totally uniform. There's nothing, you know, they all look exactly the same.
That's our job, is to make them perfectly uniform. If we have very healthy young plants to start with, then we end up with beautiful, healthy plants at the end.
Yeah, but how do you know that every single seed is going to develop exactly the same way?
We're running at a very high percentage, but if you look close, you see there are a few missing. And,
I see one out of all of this this whole greenhouse.
That's our trick, to do it very even.
Now, everything in here, look at this. There goes the water right there. And that's all computerized, isn't it?
Yes. Our computer has a weather station, and depending on how bright it is or the weather conditions outside, and then it's also measuring inside, it makes decisions on what needs to happen, and it just decided that area needs water, so it's watering those plants.
And that's all set by a computer. The computer decides whether these plants need to be watered or not.
The computer decides, but we input how we want it all to work, so we're always adjusting and playing with it.
The deal is, the family isn't going around here with a water can.
No, no.
This is being done in a large scale.
Yeah, we would need a lot more kids then.
And look out here. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. As far as you can see, we've got lettuce. So here comes the lettuce out of the greenhouse, and boy, that is a healthy harvest of lettuce right there, but it's still got a lot more to grow, doesn't it?
Yeah, these are about 3 weeks old. So we babied them in the young plant area here, and now they're ready to be planted in the production area.
The production area, and that's really what we're talking about here, because up until now, people are probably trying to say to themselves, why are we watching this program?
Yep.
You're getting ready to find out right now. Now, this is where it really gets interesting, Pete. We've got the lettuce. It's come over from the greenhouse after it's been watered and growing for 3 weeks. It's in this little piece of peat here. It's home where the original seed was put.
Yep.
And now the real story begins, because your worker is taking it out of this tray and putting it into what?
That's the growing trough where we finish the plants in. We set them in there, and the roots take off down the trough. The water that they need flows through there, and all the nutrients that they need is in the water, and the water flows through, and they're nourished that way.
A growing trough, and we are looking at a whole room full of growing troughs, because what we're talking about, look at this, Cameron, is that from the time they are planted to the time they are full grown, these lettuce plants never go in the ground.
That's right. They don't touch the soil at all. They grow in these troughs, and that's where they stay.
That is, I mean, is that revolutionary? Am I the only one who's blown away by this?
No, everybody who sees it is blown away by it. And people can't understand, but it is revolutionary. It's the way of the future. It's the cleanest way to grow.
All right, explain this to me. Let me put this one back, because this one needs to go here. You can have that one back. Explain to us how this works. Here are your troughs coming down here, and these are the same troughs that we see all the way out here. What's inside the troughs? How do these plants actually grow?
Okay, this is an empty plastic trough, and it just got cleaned because we just harvested out of it. Since we're a continual operation, we just harvested out of here. So now it just got washed, and now we replant. So we set the plants in here. They move out into the production area, and they start their 5-week trip through here.
What do you mean their 5-week trip?
Well, they start at this end. They move down that way, move across, come around, and back across again, and up towards the harvesting area.
So all of this, oh, here they move right here. Look at this. They're moving. How? And this is all computerized as well.
It sure is. There's a computer that runs all the operations in this area.
And what's put inside the trough to help these plants grow?
The water trickles through there as needed. So again, the sunnier it is, the brighter weather we have, the more often the water is going through.
But there's just water. There's no soil other than that little piece of peat.
Right, just water.
Pete's coming in with a handful of lettuce. What are you doing out there, Pete, walking on that piece of wood there?
Well, we've got our walkway elevated above the crop here because to save space. We want to use every inch of our area for growing plants.
So this is the only way you can get out there, is walking on this board here.
That's right.
All right, now come on and show us what you've got. Be careful. Show us what it is you've harvested for us.
Okay, this plant here is about 7 days old. And you can see
You mean it's been out there for 7 days?
Right. So you can see the roots have already taken off to start heading down that trough. And then I brought this one here is about 3 weeks old. And you can see another 2 weeks, they've got a lot more roots.
That is amazing. So when they're in the trough and they're being fed by the water, their roots just kind of reach out and fill up the trough.
Yep, they're looking for nutrients, so they're spreading out across the trough there.
Do you put fertilizer in the water? Do you?
Yeah, we give them all the fertilizer that they need. They require certain levels of potassium, calcium, iron, everything, and we make sure that the levels are all in there, just the right amounts that they want.
And that's all done by computer as well?
Yep, it's being constantly measured many times per second to see what the level is and then adjust it accordingly.
But this is all the peat that it takes to grow a full head of lettuce.
Yeah.
This little piece right here.
Right. The peat that we saw, you can see it's kind of disappearing under the roots. It's you can barely see it now.
Well,
But
this is conservation at its best because you're not using any land except the land this greenhouse is on to grow your crops.
That's right. It's very conservative. We all of our water is in that trough, so there's no evaporation. There's no water soaking down in the soil. It's all going to the plant, or we collect it and recycle it, and it goes back.
So you recycle the water. You're not
Yes.
even wasting water.
No, it's all being used, every drop.
There's no evaporation.
No,
There's no waste of water going to other places other than the plant itself.
Yep.
What is this called?
It's called hydroponic growing. Hydroponic.
Hydroponic. Who came up with that word?
It's a Greek word. It means water works.
Water works. Well, this water is working right out there. You got a lot of water racing through all of these troughs and growing this lettuce. Now we've switched over to Vince, who's in charge of marketing for all of this. And Vince, this is where it begins to get ready for the customer. Here come the troughs in here with lettuce. It's been growing for how long?
About 7 weeks.
All right, now what happens to it right now?
As you can see, our people go out and pick up the lettuce, and they'll pull off any leaves that may have some insect damage or be discolored. They'll wrap the root ball, take and swirl that root into a swirl around the soil ball.
Watch this. She's actually almost like braiding the roots.
Absolutely. It'll go onto the system here, go to the other side of the machine here, and get put into our packaging.
So now let's watch this being pulled out. These things have been in, can I pull this out?
Certainly.
This has been in here for 7 weeks. And there it is, still dripping with water with very long roots, healthy roots. Let me hand this one to her and let's see what happens to it. I'm gonna let you take this one. She wraps it up. Well, she'll take a few of the bottom leaves off.
They may be discolored, there may be some insect damage, there may be some broken leaves that she'll take off as well.
She wraps it up and puts it right on the conveyor belt. Ha! And here comes the braided and plucked final product. They just take it right off the line and put it in
our little mini greenhouse. It's actually a clamshell package. It provides a microenvironment to help the lettuce stay fresher longer. It protects it from damage in transit to the market. So when you take it out at home, it's a perfect lettuce, just like the day we harvested it.
So wait a minute, I've never seen all of this on the bottom of a head of lettuce before.
We leave the root ball there to provide a source of carbohydrate for the leaf. It helps the lettuce stay fresher longer, have higher nutritional value, and it really helps it taste much better.
So when you're buying this head of lettuce in the store, it's basically still alive.
Absolutely. It's just like the day you'd harvest it in your own garden. You can harvest it in your kitchen.
So you just cut the roots and the peat off.
What we suggest is people want to use the lettuce, use the leaves that they want to use. Anything that they aren't using in that salad, they can leave attached to the root ball, put it back in this container, put it in the refrigerator, and the next time they go to use it, it's just as fresh as the day they first used it.
This is amazing. When did you all start doing this? Was this your idea as the patriarch of the family?
Yep.
Yeah, in the 1980s, we was first growing cut flowers. But we get a lot of import on the cut flowers, and I talked to my son, before the 1990s, we have to come up with something different growing, but we like to make a living.
So you went from flowers to doing it this way. How did you come up with doing it this way?
The whole thing what we saw in the 80s, people are tired from pesticide.
Nobody wanted pesticides.
On the produce. And people are complaining. And then we start thinking on who and how to start growing without pesticide.
Because you don't need pesticides because you don't have any bugs because it's all inside.
Right, and if we do get a few bugs, we release predatory insects that take care of them.
The natural way.
Yep, the natural way. Yeah.
And how revolutionary is this process?
It's very revolutionary, and the way our whole system works, there's nothing like it in all of North America.
We're walking in a tomato forest. And Pete, how many tomato vines do you have in this? I've never been in a situation like this in my life.
We've got about 16,000 tomato plants in this greenhouse right here.
Just in this greenhouse.
Yep.
And does it work on the same process as the lettuce does? It's all, well, we're looking right down here. They're all grown in these little boxes.
Yeah, they're actually plastic bags filled with this coconut husk. It's ground coconut husk.
Look at this. So they're growing not in peat, but in ground up coconut shell husk.
That's right. And there's not really any nutrients in the husk itself, but as it turns out, it's a perfect media for the roots. The tomato plants just love having their roots in this. And then we put all the nutrients that they need in the water. Just
like you did before.
Just like the lettuce, yeah.
All right, now Vince, it's time for you. You're the marketing guy. Give us your marketing spiel for what makes these tomatoes so great.
Well, Huell, what we do is we harvest them vine ripened. We let the tomato stay on the vine long enough to build up its own natural sugar. That way the tomato tastes like a tomato you'd harvest in your garden. It's got more flavor, better color, and excellent shelf life.
So you're harvesting these things red instead of green.
Absolutely. Most tomatoes are harvested green and then turn red or ethylene gas later on, somewhere along the marketing phase, and then go to market red but don't have any flavor or not as flavorful. And these have the homegrown flavor.
Now, how do you harvest these things? Art, how are these things taken off the vine? How do you do this?
We have small carts running over the pipes, and the pipes are also the heating pipe to control the temperature in the greenhouse. And the people have a small cart and she have a clipper in their hand, and she take the whole cluster at once and put them all straight in the boxes, in the shipping boxes. And that's the way it goes to the packing house. And we is another guy and he do a little bit more handling, and it is ready to ship. Nobody have touched it more.
Now, how many vines? Look at all these vines here. How many tomato vines are we talking about?
There is, I think, my son Peter, he said there's about 16,000 in the
But I mean, look, they all come up and then they grow all around down here.
We plant the tomatoes once a year, and she grow all the way up. As soon as you're on the top line, the top wire, we let them go down. We let them go down, little bit by little bit, every week.
So it's a constant growing process.
Yes, it allows us to keep a real healthy 6-foot growing tip here. And we'll harvest the tomato, take away any leaves because it only stays there and decays and causes cultural problems in the greenhouse. We keep a nice healthy plant and an active growing tip and continue to produce fruit week after week after week.
So these vines have been growing up and then dropped down and wrapped around for a solid year.
Yeah, for exactly 1 year.
You're eating a tomato. Come over here and talk with us a little bit about all this. This is all something, again, that you all thought up.
Well, it's more widely done in Europe, but we've applied our own methods here to change it around a little bit.
Now, how many fruits and vegetables can be grown this way?
I'd say probably 80% of the various types of vegetables can be grown. We also do watercress this way, and bell peppers can be grown, melons, cantaloupes, squash, lots of
So why isn't more of this being done?
It's very expensive, and it's not that easy. So
why is it expensive?
The systems required. We as you notice when we're going around, there's a lot of stuff everywhere. The greenhouse itself, the heating systems, the computer systems, the irrigation. It all adds up to.
So what's the benefit? Why can you do this, and how can you make money off this?
Our quality is very high, so we have a niche where we can get a little more money than the regular stuff.
Bee boxes. What is this all about? And you got a little bee coming out there. What are these 4 boxes for?
Well, those are bumblebee hives, and we need them to pollinate the flowers. We want, of course, lots of tomatoes, so we want all the flowers pollinated, and we want them evenly pollinated. Otherwise, we get misshapen tomatoes.
So how do tomatoes usually get pollinated?
Just by the wind or regular bees outside or something brushing against them.
So you bring the bees inside the greenhouse.
Right, to maximize, to make sure that everything's properly pollinated.
Boy, this is just amazing, just being back out here in the middle of all this. It's a little overwhelming, isn't it?
It is. These plants are about 12 feet tall, and to be in the middle of them is fun.
We're surrounded by tomatoes. Now, is this something that's going to start taking off in California? And if so, why?
Well, it's going to be a big growth in this country, and especially here in California in the next few years. Labor's expensive, energy's getting expensive, and land's very expensive here in the state. This gives you a lot more productivity and helps you get a better return on your investment.
Did he say it right?
Yeah, and also the consumers are demanding high quality, which is what we're able to do. The produce costs so much already. If they spend a little more to get the premium vegetables, then people are willing to do it.
And they don't want the pesticides.
Right.
You don't use pesticides.
Right.
This is a wise use of land. You're not churning up good fertile farmland. You're putting it all in a greenhouse.
Yep, and everybody wants it clean. When if you look at a shopper in the produce section, they're inspecting and they're looking for the perfect one. So that's how we try to make our vegetables all perfect.
What do I hear moving in here?
Those are the roof vents, the windows on the roof to control the temperature.
So again, it's all being done by computer.
Yep.
There's always something going on in here.
Dat is right.
So you just opened up. Oh, there it goes. Look over here.
You can see it, the temperature.
What's actually happening is the wind direction changed, so we don't want too much wind in here. So the weather station realized that the wind direction changed, so it's closing one side and opening the other.
You can see it. Look, one side go down and the other side go up.
This one's closing up here.
Yeah, and the other side go up.
Now, what do you think farmers 100 years ago or even 50 years ago would think about all of this?
They couldn't imagine. You know, they have to deal with the weather and all the elements, and they couldn't imagine.
Wow, this is truly revolutionary.
Sure is.
Do you realize how cutting edge this is? And
we kind of forget because we're in it all day, every day. But it is. We get the compliments from our visitors and all of our consumers, the emails that we get, and so on. So we're proud of what we do here.
Well, it's been an eye-opener for us. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. This has been absolutely wonderful at our day here in Carpinteria. The name of the farm, the nursery?
It's Hollandia Produce.
And the name of the process?
Is hydroponics.
Hydroponics.
Yes, and our brand name is Live Gourmet.
Okay, and I'm going to grab one of these tomatoes right over here so I can give a personal testimony that this stuff tastes great.
All right.
It's the best of everything right here. Hydroponics and all of this revolutionary way of growing vegetables. All of this helping to keep California very green.
This land is your land, and this land is my land. From the California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I went a-walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway, saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
You mean to the other side? Yeah. Okay.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed our visit to Carpinteria to see firsthand the wonders of hydroponics. If you'd like to go on this adventure again or share it with your family and friends, it's available on video cassette